All right.
And I'll tell you what, every Iowa fan appreciates you doing that too.
All right. And we're back. Second part, other part of the podcast. Drake Kulik, myself, and a legendary Hawkeye, a guy that I got to meet several years ago. His name is Dan Pomeroy, otherwise known as just Pomeroy, right?
That's right.
Yeah. It's just
go by the last name.
Yeah. Probably. I'm guessing that there's some listeners out there who know who Dan Pomeroy is.
Couple.
Yeah. Dan was, and he can talk more about this. Dan was just recently retired. He was 35 years in varsity football reffing around the state of Iowa. Yep. You've probably been to every stadium in the state.
They do a lot of them in Western Iowa. Yes.
Yeah, a lot of them. And
wait, did you ever ref in Muscatine?
No, did Muscatine in baseball. No.
Yeah. Oh. And Dan, how did we come to this point?
You were the featured speaker at the Coon Rapids Baird high school football team. So motivational speaker.
Yeah, motivational speaker.
You used this clown show as a motivational speaker?
Yeah.
He couldn't motivate me to get off my couch.
Well, I thought I did pretty good. How did I do, Dan?
I think you did pretty well. I know he's a motivational speaker because I met his bride, Lauren, tonight, and he obviously outkicked his coverage. So he motivated her.
We just got done with dinner for those listening. Dan is on the show tonight. One, because he is part of the Walkon Army. He might be, Dan, I think damn near you're like one of the first in there, like way back when we started the podcast. How did you hear about us?
Well, all of our younger Hawkeye friends, Gage Reese, Kyler Oswald, all the younger guys were listening to you guys religiously.
Okay.
And so I sort of got onto it after that.
Yeah. What's the first thing you remember from our podcast?
That it was foul mouth. That's just enjoyable.
That Drake is.
Drake is way cool.
Oh God.
Yeah, hell yeah. And Kluver swears just as much as I do. So I don't know why he's pointing fingers.
I just feel like it's
throwing
not
stones
as
in a glass house over here, Kluver.
That's true. And we've added the little cha-ching button recently for the F-bombs.
Well, I should do okay on that though, because high school official in me, I can't cuss. I mean, when I get hit by the foul tip in the thigh, I want an F-bomb, but I usually say fudge sickle or something like that.
I need to get better at the fudge sickle.
God bless America. That's my go-to line.
Yeah, that's a good one too. This also marks this week with the Iowa State podcast, the first time that we have ever had a guest in the office, in the Kluver office. Dan is sitting across from me. So if you see me looking to what would be left on the computer and Dan looking to his right, we're 3 feet from each other.
Yeah, that stuff there, that's way too organized for my house. There's no way that's in my house.
That is the teacher wife of mine. Yeah. So let's get down to brass tacks. Dan, you join us in a week that is about to see the biggest Iowa State matchup in the history of the matchup.
No question. I've been to all 43. The first one was huge. I was a student then, and it was unheard of. The legislature got involved to get us back together, and the first 4 were in Iowa City, and Iowa City was just crazy.
Yeah.
That the night before. And we were significant underdogs. I don't want to say like a touchdown or something like that. Earl Bruce was there then and had taken them to a couple of bowl games. Bob Cummings was our coach. His son was the quarterback. And we had some good players like John Lazar and John Hardy, a bunch of good players, but we certainly didn't expect to win the game. And then we did, which was, the closest thing you can get to an orgasm as a fan.
I love that.
That is the washed up walk-ons content we're looking for.
Yeah. The first 4 were in Iowa City, so they didn't do a home and away.
No, because they were playing in a junior high stadium called Clyde Williams Field down on campus somewhere. So
okay, that makes sense. And Kinnick, obviously, it's a decent little destination.
Greatest stadium.
They've always been a clown show of an operation.
This is true. So
I've been to all 43.
I was just going to say all 43 games.
Yep.
And you still remember that first one.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Are there some that you've forgotten? Like, they
every one of the losses.
Okay. This is great. Are there any that stick out to you? This is the first question I really wanted to ask. Other than like recent memory, are there ones that back in the Hayden era that stick out to you the most?
Well, the first one sticks out the most because we were such a big underdog in the game, and they're the ones that wanted the game more than us.
Yeah.
And we beat them 12-10. They had a punt return, and our defense was fabulous the whole game. And we had a Dennis Mosley touchdown, and then John Lazar, great player for us, an Iowa kid, scored a touchdown. We'd missed the extra points, went for 2, but anyway, won 12-10. So huge upset. The other one for me, we were on that 15-year run with Hayden.
Right.
So I'd say of the 43, the 85 one was fun personally because I'm with my college roommate and my best friend since first grade, and we're ranked number 1, and they're horse shit. And
gotta love that.
We always took the football with Chuck Long in 85, and we marched right down the field and score. And they had an artificial turf field then.
Yeah.
And Rob Houtland came out, and it was a dark, rainy, dreary day, and he slipped on the kick, and so he accidentally did an onside kick, and we recovered it. and so Hayden had many positive things, and one of his strengths was he knew exactly when to step on the juggler, and so we handed it off to Ronnie Harmon, went into line, pitched it back to Chuck Long. He threw a bomb down to the end zone, touchdown. And so we're up 14-0. But the point of the story is that by the end of the third quarter, fourth quarter, it's 50-0.
Jesus.
And everybody's gone because it was a dark, dreary day. The only people that are there really are the Iowa fans. And so my buddy and I, one of my best friends from first grade on, we're sitting on the 50-yard line exactly. We just kept moving as Iowa State fans left. 50-yard line, 50-0 against our arch rival. I mean, that's nirvana. So that's a memory.
When did it become a thing like, okay, I've made it to every one of these, I can't miss a game now? Because now you're at that point.
This week. Yeah, a couple of weeks ago, because I got a wedding in Denver on Friday, and I was supposed to go to the Colorado Texas A&M game. And I explained to my family they had to be absolutely batshit crazy if they think that I'm going to go to sit in Boulder when we're playing the most important game of the 44.
Yeah,
so I'm flying back and tailgating with some great guys from Carroll, just terrific guys.
Are they Iowa State?
The Badings, the Mulebauers, they're Cloney fans.
Okay.
But they're great guys. Everybody has a fault, and that's their main one, but they're great guys otherwise.
That's fantastic. You're a huge Hawkeye, and that's for those listening, I go to Coon Rapids. I talked to the football team. This is 2 years ago before COVID, 2019. I did it this year as well. But 2 years ago, I go and Drake, you love this shit too. I go down into Pomeroy's basement. He's got a cardboard life-size cutout of Hayden. Okay. Just sitting right at the bottom of his stairs. And the entire, it's a nice little man cave that he's got there. He's got a bunch of his refereeing, umping shit. Some real, it's like a museum down there. And we talked Iowa for, I don't know, maybe 2 hours.
Yeah.
And just amazing stories. As a fan who's been to every game from the Iowa perspective, how do you view this as the Super Bowl concept? Because we talked about this earlier today in the part that the listeners heard before this. What do you think about this game as it's their Super Bowl, or it's Iowa's Super Bowl, or how do you view it from the outside?
Oh, I don't know whether their fans think that or not. I don't think so.
Okay.
And whether their players do, I doubt it.
Mm-hmm.
They've had some really smart, good coaches. Dan McCarney being one of them.
Yeah.
And I don't think they'd overplay any game more than the next one.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's a little bit more of a myth, and I certainly have an appreciation, or no, it's not an appreciation. I have a polite understanding of the Iowa people that want to cheer for Iowa State when they're not playing Iowa, or the Iowa fans that want to cheer for Iowa or Iowa State fans that want to cheer for Iowa when they're not playing Iowa State. I guess I'd line up more like Kulik in that regard, that I just, it's a personal fault of mine, a personal bad trait of mine. I just can't get my arms around that.
I was going to say Drake
probably wouldn't, right? Drake's like me. I think I'd cheer for Iowa State if they're playing ISIS maybe, or Taliban, but
no. And you know what? I actually fans are going to be surprised to hear this. You might be surprised to hear this. There are times that I cheer against or cheer for Iowa State. If they're playing an SEC team in any bowl game, I'm always going to cheer for them.
Yeah.
If they're playing a Big 12 team that I don't particularly like Oklahoma, I'll cheer for Iowa State. There's also times that I love to watch them get bullied into the dirt, like the little pussies that they are. But that's,
That's good.
We brought you up at dinner, Drake, because as Dan mentioned at that first game, right? The first game is when they did the jersey switch.
Yeah, in 1977, and there was a little article about it in one of the newspapers or one of the media outlets this week, and quoted John Lazar in that, our fullback then, fullback running back. Earl Bruce, they were good, man. I mean, they had Earl Bruce then, and he'd taken them to a couple of bowl games. And this was such a momentous thing. And they came out for the pregame warmups, just like all the teams do, and then go back in. And when Iowa State went back in, Earl Bruce had brand new jerseys for him back in, same white jerseys. There wasn't jersey alternates then,
right,
but they had across the front, beat Iowa, and that was supposed to get them all jacked up. Like they weren't going to be jacked up ever before that for the first game ever between the two schools. And of course, came out and I don't know, you guys are the D1 players. I don't know how much that stuff motivates you, but John Lazar said in the article I read, he said it just pissed him off the whole game to stare across the line of scrimmage and see beat Iowa right across their jerseys. And I said at supper, I said Drake Kulik would have effing killed somebody.
I would have laughed in their face. I would have been unaffected by that, completely unaffected by that. If we were playing or having such free real estate in people's heads that they're playing the game in a fucking jersey that says we hate you, we've already beat them. I'll just laugh in their face and let them know that they're mentally infantile and that we're gonna bury them.
Attaboy.
Yeah, I just don't know. Like if Oklahoma came out with like a horns down uni against Texas, that would be kind of sick if they made it cool. But otherwise, it's a little, I don't know, it's a little too premeditated.
Yeah.
Maybe. Not, and I guess, I mean, in that sense, the team didn't do it. It was kind of bestowed upon them like, hey, here's your jerseys that we're going to put on. I wonder if there are any guys that were like, I don't know about this. Like, do we have to throw on this jersey? Like, I have no idea.
I don't know. They said they were all jacked up about it. And of course, Earl Bruce had them rolling then. And unfortunately for Colony fans, he's an Ohio State guy, and he had it in his contract that if Ohio State ever offered him the job, he's automatically out. No payout, no buyout, no nothing.
Really?
Yeah. And lucky for him, Clemson ran the screen pass to Ohio State's sideline, and Woody decided he'd go out and slug the guy that caught the pass.
Yeah, that was it. That's an incredible.
And Earl Bruce got a new job.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
The irony of this. So there's rich irony in this history. So he gets the job there because Woody Hayes slugs a guy,
right,
okay, and leaves Iowa State, and he gets fired because we go Hartlib to Cook for 29 yards at the end of the game, and he takes his suit coat off and throws it down, and they fired him after that game. He coached the Michigan game, already fired.
Wow, that's tough. As a guy who attended the games through the end of the Hayden Fry era, a lot of those seasons, a few of those seasons were it got tough there for a little bit.
Yeah.
That was before Drake and I were really even, I mean, Kirk took over in 99 and we were 5 years old. And Dan came prepared. He's looking at it. He's got a whole sheet here about the rivalry and
well, we lost that last one, Hayden's last year. We lost when we were big favorites in Kinnick. And McCarney, and they came over and beat us. And then it took a while, and then Hayden retired after that year, and then we went 4 years with Kirk before we got him.
Yeah,
but they were good. I mean, and then we
big
were very
shout out
good.
to McCarney, man.
Yeah,
McCarney's an absolute legend. I've met him on a couple of occasions.
Yeah,
great guy.
Well, we need to get him on this podcast.
Please.
There's two guys that I want to get on this podcast that actually mean something, and it's Dan McCarney and it's Bob Stoops.
But sure as hell ain't Pomeroy, that's for sure.
No, Pomeroy's a part of it. And Pomeroy joined us tonight wearing the Hamilton University Hampton University.
Only the real Hawk fans would know what this means.
Yeah. And so for those that don't have to sit there and do the math, Iowa State. No. Iowa State in the NCAA tournament was the first ever two seed to lose to a 15 seed, and it was to Hampton. And so this is his troll.
It's Drake. It's thinking outside the box.
Listen, man, I just told you how many brain cells I still got left inside the box. So
it's not quite as many as there used to be. What do you remember? What do you remember from that transitional period from Hayden to Coach Ferentz, as far as the perception of Iowa football? And I mean, was it like,
well, the first year, I think the general fan base thought, boy, I don't know whether this was the right choice.
Yeah.
But credit to Kirk that he kept to his guns and was building the culture and building the program he wanted to build it. And then, by the year 3, we're seeing results. We go to the Alamo Bowl and win it.
Yeah.
And then unbelievably terrific years in the next 3 years. I mean, that's, you want to talk about the bad losses on this list. I mean, 2002 is bad.
Yeah.
I mean, Seneca, we got them 3rd in tomorrow on the chains, and Seneca runs around. Seneca Wall was great player.
Yeah,
Seneca runs around clear over to the dental parking lot.
Dental parking lot.
and we can't effing catch the little shit. And then he throws some unbelievable 47-yard pass and gets them out of jail, and they go on to win the game. I mean, that taught me a lesson, because in my seats, we're ahead 24-7 at half, and all I'm thinking about going downtown with my boys, with the Simonses and Patty Bear and our whole gang, and what a great time we're going to have downtown, because we've kicked their ass finally, and then it didn't happen.
That's tough.
But we played in the Orange Bowl, so
the Orange Bowl is good. Drake and I never went to the Orange Bowl. No. The dental parking lot, that brings up a memory. There was one year, I don't even know if Drake knew this happened or any of the guys knew this happened, but in the old weight room, 2014, I popped a bar into the bottom of my chin and it knocked a tooth out. And they're just like, all right, well, you're going to go over to the dental school and they're going to fix you up. We called you in. And it was like an hour later and they had cemented my tooth back in.
Yeah, see, I'm 64 and I've never lifted weights. See, I don't have that problem.
Pomeroy said that he was asking why Petrus doesn't have arms like me.
Yeah, why is that, Drake?
Because Petrus has to do something more important than lift a bar over his head a bunch of times.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And I told him, like, CJ the golden goat, never had big arms. Nate really didn't have muscular arms. Quarterbacks just don't have, unless you're Tebow. You just don't have.
You should see most quarterbacks' upper body program. It's all based around shoulder stability and rotator cuff strength.
Yeah. I want you, Dan, I know you told it at dinner, but I want you to retell the story of Hayden down in the kitchen.
Oh yeah. I just was telling Tyler, there's hundreds of great college football coaches out there over the years, but the thing that we've been blessed with at Iowa with these 43 years of two guys is, beyond them being great football coaches, they're great guys. I mean, and the Hayden story I always like to tell, our Carroll Area I-Club event was always in Arcadia in a really small Legion Hall. And the Legion Auxiliary women used to cook the meal before we got it from Litterdale Country Store years later. And the coaches would sit out with the crowd. One year we'd get Hayden and one year we'd get Luke, and they'd go back and forth. And one of the year, when we had Hayden, he would disappear on us. And Dean Bruning from Breed and I were running the club then, and we could never find him. I went outside once to Arcadia, little town of 300 people. I thought he was out smoking or something. And you go to the university people and say, don't worry about it. He'll show up on the dais up on the stage with Zabel when it's time. And he'd always waltz up at the last minute and be there in time to speak. And I found out years later from the Arcadia people, he went downstairs into the kitchen and ate a dessert with the 5 or 6 Legion Auxiliary women that had cooked the meal, because they were the only ones that were working at the event. And he knew their names. He knew their kids' names. It's the kind of guy he is. And Ferentz has those same type of stories.
I was going to
same
say,
ones.
that sounds like a familiar other tenured older gentleman that may or may not have taught us a few lessons over the years.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I was like, I'm wondering how. I would love to ask KF about.
I want to have KF on this podcast.
If we
so
get
bad.
KF on the
I just
podcast,
want to tell him I love him, man. I want to tell him I'm so thankful for everything that he taught us and everything he put us through, because we're fucking better people because of it. And I think I owe the children like another $20 this episode already.
We actually got a donation from one of my former coaching clients. Shout out Carter. He sent me $100 and said the next 20 F-bombs are on me.
Well,
I'm matching him anyways, pal.
Yeah.
The thing about
there we go.
The thing about Hayden and Captain Kirk both is, one, they're genuine, two, they're sincere, and three, they can commiserate and sit down and eat a meal across from anyone, and make conversation and having a sincere appreciation for what they are or what they do. It's just, they're remarkable people way outside of football. And I think you guys know that obviously more than us fans do, because we don't have the contact with them, but boy, are we ever blessed, and have been blessed for 43 years. Holy smokes.
Do you remember the first time? I mean, I assume you've met and shaken Kirk's hand, right?
Yeah.
You remember the first time?
Oh yeah. When he came to Arcadia, early years.
For the event. Yeah. And he's just like, he just is so, I don't know if people understand this, but I assume you will. Like, when you're in a conversation with somebody and you can tell they need to be somewhere.
Yeah.
KF is never that way.
Last guy out of the hall all the time. They're waiting for him to get to the van, to get their butts back to the airport at Carroll to fly back. He's the last guy.
It's like, I don't know how he can respect people's time so much. And then we were talking at dinner as well about how his, Pomeroy's phone goes off in the middle of it, and it's the fight song, dude.
Yeah.
Does it get more Iowa than that?
No.
Unbelievable.
All right, I shut it off. Sorry.
No, you're good. You're good.
I'm a non-tech person.
No, you're totally fine. But yeah, man, they're just like, he I don't know how he does it. We were talking about how he remembers all the Drake. Do you have any stories of him remembering like names of your mom or dad just randomly as hell? Or like,
you know, the one that sticks out to me the most was actually Coach Davis, when he was like, "Hey, is your dad a doctor?" But
really,
I feel like, yeah, Coach Davis randomly knew that my dad was a doctor.
What the hell?
I thought that was pretty cool. But yeah, I mean, KF the thing sticks out to me about KF is how genuine of a person he was. He cared,
and
like, whether it was him remembering random facts or him just caring about me because he knew I had a bunch of screws loose and they made sure I was going to stay on the straight and narrow. Like, I just felt that they cared.
Bringing it back to the matchup at hand, in the last few years, what's one of your sweeter, better memories from the rivalry, Dan?
Well, the punting.
Last year. I mean, the end of the game last year.
Yeah.
It's hard not to be.
Well, yeah. You can't, because you're buddies with all these. I mean, back in Western Round, we're all friends, I mean, I'm going to be at a Cyclone tailgate. Now, after they find out I was on this podcast, they'll probably kick me out, but I did drop off some Dedham beef jerky and some money for the beer today with Bobby Mulbauer, my buddy, and that's in charge of the tailgate. So, but anyway, the punt hitting their own guy in the back of the head. Come on. I mean, that's the overtime win to Smith Marset when he was a freshman. Yeah. That was a big one. But there's kicking the nut.
Dan, you want to know something funny about that play?
Yeah, let's hear it.
You know how we came into that play, called a timeout, and came back out with the play to Amir?
Yeah.
The play before the timeout was to me, and one of our tight ends lined up wrong.
Bastard.
It was supposed to be Drake Kulik who scored that winning touchdown.
Scored the winning touchdown, Drake, in the biggest game of the year. Oh
yeah, I was going to the flat left, and they weren't going to have anybody for me because the tight end was going to clear out, and I just had to make it underneath the defensive end, and I was going to walk in.
Were you so pissed, Drake?
I couldn't believe that Brian called a different play out of the timeout. I wanted to recall a timeout and be like, no, listen, cocksucker, you called this one to me. We're running this bitch.
Wow, that had to have been a whirlwind of emotions. Like, oh my God, I'm scoring this touchdown to beat Iowa State to win this game. And then timeout, back into the play. Oh my God, I'm not scoring this touchdown.
We're going to throw it to a true freshman.
Yeah. Oh,
and then
my.
the next day in film. No, the next day in film, we're in there.
Yeah.
And Brian is the running back coach.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like we're not going to talk about this. And I'm like, hey, why did you not throw the ball to me? And he's like, you would have dropped it anyways.
Wow.
Oh, no way.
That's trash. Brian was just trying to get out of it. I mean, the thing is like at that point, Brian looks like God because he called a great play that got a mirror open and it was just perfect.
Throwing to the fullback, Drake, I could tell 137 Iowa football stories, but the program's not that long. But when thankfully to you guys, when we're clobbering Ohio State and we throw a pass for a touchdown to the fullback, who do we throw it to?
It was
Ross
in 17.
Yeah,
it was Drake.
It was Drake. You caught the pass that rolled out to the right in the north end zone.
That was me.
Right? Yeah, that was you. Okay. So my buddies are in row one, you realize, behind the Ohio State bench. Pat Ventiger, Tyler Simons, Brent Simons, Bose Nealon, Bennett Snyder. They're brutal on the other team. Okay. And they said that Urban Meyer, that's the maddest he got during the game when he's screaming at his own linebackers. You can't even guard the effing fullback. Really? You can't even cover the effing fullback. And
yeah, that's right. You know why? Because Hart don't have stars.
That's
and
right.
When you want it worse than those scrubs out there that are supposed to be better than you, sometimes you just get it done.
Right. And let's face it, you're sneaky quick, right?
Some people would have called me flat out fast in my prime. I'm not trying to toot my own horn.
Drake wasn't in his prime then, though.
So you got to realize these guys are in row one and they're so close to the coaches and players and they delight in antagonizing them. And one of my best buddies, Brent Simons, screams at Urban Meyer. He says, Urban Meyer, chill out. And Urban actually looked at him, and Florida had just fired their coach, the week before that game.
Yeah.
And he hollered, and Urban looked right at him. He said, Urban, the Florida job's open.
That's incredible.
That is one of the better trolls I've ever heard.
I'll tell you one more from down there.
Keep telling.
One more.
Listen, we have as long as you guys. You got to get home.
No, I'm actually staying in Des Moines and I'm flying out to this dumbass wedding in Denver, but I'm going to be back for the game on Saturday. Anyway, so before they knocked out the first two rows between the 25s and the renovation, they never let anybody sit in the first two rows behind the teams because they didn't want them hassling. And
well, you could touch. I mean,
you could touch.
I could have a beer. The specialist down at the 25-yard line and have a beer with the front row people.
Right,
it's like,
but that also means the players could hit you.
Right.
And so they wanted to keep that out of the.
And that was probably good for Drake too.
So a really good friend of ours, David Blakely, who has a really warped sense of humor. I'd say him and Drake are about on the same personality level.
That's good.
Oh, this dude's twisted.
Yeah, he's good. And he's sitting in row 3, row 1 and 2 are out, and we're playing Montana State and we're murdering them. It's bad. It's one of the early games of the year, and it's about the middle of the fourth quarter, and he slides down to row 2 and then slides down to row 1. And the Simons brothers and our buddies, I'm not down there. I sit over with normal people over on the west side. And they say, David, you're going to get your ass kicked out. As soon as they see you down here, they're going to come down. And he said, I'm just stretching out. He reaches through the railing and picks up the offensive coordinator's phone. It says, coordinator right on the phone. He picks it up. They answer upstairs in the press box. And they say, what? And his line was, when are we going to run the goddamn shovel pass? And the offensive coordinator from Montana State goes, what? He said, you heard me. Are we going to run the fucking shovel pass or not? and the offensive coordinator from Montana State said, listen, we don't even have a shovel pass. And who the hell is this? He hung up and he turned to our gang and said, I'll see you back at the tailgate. Stretched his arms, started walking up the aisle. Of course, the cops were down there right away after that. They never caught him. But
that's unbelievable.
I told that story 3 different times to 3 different coaches. O'Keefe, yeah, that's one of the bad things about Kinnick, the fans being that close. Told it years later once to Kirk Ferentz when I was around him, and he says, "Wow, well, yeah, our fans sometimes that first row, that's probably not a good thing." Told it to Norm Parker in Arcadia. He says, "Is that guy here?" And I said, "No, but the Simons brothers are here." And he went right over to them and says, "You guys just keep right on doing that shit."
See, and that is the exact mindset you would expect from somebody whose last name is Parker.
Yeah, that's right.
And what's really unfortunate is that Norm passed away right before we got there, right, Drake?
Yeah, but I was lucky enough to have gone to a couple of camps with Norm Parker. So
Yeah.
was which was cool. At least we got to see him and interact with him a little bit.
The stories that they tell about him are great too. I went to that iClub event, Polk County iClub event, golf outing, and old Seth Wallace was there, and he got up and told a story about Norm, where he, back when he was like, what did he do, Drake? Was Wallace a GA originally? Or
yeah, I believe so. He was in there young, and then he went to another program and came back.
He was telling them to get their fucking pads down. And they came out to the same event, the same golf event, like, I don't know, 10 years earlier, 15 years earlier, when Seth was originally there, like his first year. And Coach Wallace had to drive Norm home because it was dark and he was tired, and Norm had a huge lip in, and he was like putting more.
Don't let Wally tell you this story that he didn't have a lip in too.
Oh, he definitely had a lip in too. But Norm was in the passenger seat putting a lip in, and had the can open and it's like 9:30 at night, whatever. They're driving back. I think he said that they're right around Tiffin, coming into the town, and a deer jumps out and they smoke a deer, and they kind of like skid to a stop, and there's just tobacco everywhere in the car. The airbags blew up and like just exploded the chewing tobacco everywhere. And Coach Wallace is sitting there thinking that he killed Norm Parker, dude. And the way he told the story was one of the funniest things I've ever heard. It was unbelievable.
Oh my God.
And Norm, I'm pretty sure hit him with a line like, "Well, the deer's dead." Or like, I'm pretty sure you got him. So I've unfortunately never got to meet him myself, but Phil Parker is
wow.
Yeah.
That's wow.
Yeah. They're just legendary people. I mean, it's just incredible. I was telling,
we have been blessed on
that's what I'm saying. I was telling
in Haydingers, we had Bill Brasher too.
Oh, if you look at Hayden's coaching tree, I mean, you had
we've had so many good defense coordinators. Yeah,
it's insane. I was telling Dan at dinner,
Phil
Drake
Parker is on the top of that list of anybody.
And I was actually thinking, if you gave Phil the 5-star talent to work with year in, year out, like, look what he does with the 2s and 3 stars, right? Oh, exactly. Bo Bauer, Ben Neiman, right? Kevin Ward. Got to trash him because he isn't here. He's, I don't know, he's at a business dinner or something. But like, think about what Phil could do with like the Honey Badger and LSU, like when they were elite. Like if he had that talent playing 11 guys playing Phil Parker's defense, are you shitting me, dude? That would
Devin White and Patrick Queener as 2 linebackers.
Just insane. Like what I don't know if other teams would score any points. It would be absurd. So it's such a homer thing to say, but I think he's the best in the country. I think if you argue that he's not in the top 5, you're a psychopath.
There was a sports analytic thing out on the internet today listing all the defensive coordinators on percentage of explosive plays, and he was ranked number 1 in the last 10 years.
Yeah. I mean, that's
the least explosive plays.
That's the big thing that they focus on.
So here's what I think is a criteria for a defensive coordinator that may not be exactly measurable, but is extremely important. How much a coach makes his players want to play for him.
Yeah. Yeah, we talked
Like,
about that at dinner too.
He's got his guys foaming at the mouth to play defense for him.
Yeah.
And I don't know that all coaches have that.
Well, it's just like I told Dan that like it's something about him as a human. He's really, really good at making that personal connection when they're young and like telling them, like I can think of any DB that sees something on Twitter about the Iowa defense and they're like, Phil Parker, best in the nation. Like they always are on that shit. Like they'll
And
always
all of his DBs in the league are like, Phil Parker changed my life.
exactly.
Like, if you have a chance to go play for Phil, you do go do it because he will change your life.
That's
yeah,
what
if you're a DB getting recruited by Phil, I think, and you've been offered, you'd be not to.
we got to find a way to get the Southeast Bowl kid.
Huh?
Xavier Nwampa or whatever, and then the kid younger than that, Caden Proctor, who's just he's literally Tristan Wirf's little brother, except for he's bigger than Tristan already. It's absurd. And they're both 5 stars, so I don't know if we'll get them, but you're gonna fly back in. You're gonna drive up to Ames from the airport.
Go to a Cyclone tailgate. Great guys.
Go to
Badings, Muehlbauers. The Carroll the Carroll Cyclone fans are the greatest you're ever gonna find. Great guys.
What are you looking forward to most? Is it the
not wearing my Hampton t-shirt because I'll get beat up?
Yeah, well, yeah, they'll smoke you for that. This Saturday, it's such a big game as like from the fan side of things.
Well, biggest game in the 44 years, no question.
Yeah.
Outside of the first one.
Yeah.
And this is going to, depending on the outcome, it will be the biggest game.
Yeah. I mean, if we win, we talked about it earlier, like it's a legitimate top 10 win, obviously. And the loser doesn't drop too many spots.
No, but the winner's going to
vault into the top 8 for sure, maybe higher.
Yep.
And you're, if you continue to win, you're part of the playoff conversation for the next
that's right
8 weeks.
Boys,
right.
I could use another miracle season because I'm moving to Nashville. Nashville's pretty darn close to Indianapolis as compared to Phoenix.
Yeah, relatively.
And
you're further away from Vegas, Drake.
I hate Vegas, man. I absolutely despise the city of Vegas.
A card player of your talent?
Not anymore, though.
I don't even like play cards anymore because
COVID killed it.
Started making you wear a mask, which I wasn't going to do. And that was that. And I haven't gone back.
Also, Dan, you can't quite see it, but if Dan ducks a little bit, you can see his Marshalltown Bobcat hat. He's repping the Cats tonight, which is elite.
Yeah. Brought my Hawks for $1 million t-shirt though.
Yeah.
At the end when you guys make predictions. So.
Yeah. And I appreciate you so much coming on to the show, Dan.
No, great. I want to hear about you guys. Give me some stories about your Iowa State games. That
Ask
you
us
played
question. Okay, so like when you're a player, you get the bus ride of your life. It's honestly, so like you see videos on College Game Day, they'll open it up with videos of buses pulling in to insanely crowded places, the players walking through tunnels, and just looks like an insane environment. Like driving into Iowa State, you feel like you're driving into hell because it's all red and it's all people that hate you. They're flipping you off. They're cursing you out. Like it is amazing. Like it feels great to be that hated. And then the walk in, you have to walk through all those people and you can hear the things that they're saying. Cause I always just muted my headphones so I could hear what they had to say. And it was just, that's a pretty insane experience. And then you're walking down, so it's a long walk relative to what we're used to from the locker room to the field. And you get out the doors and then you get outside and you turn that corner down the hill and they start chanting and it feels like an electrical surge through your spine. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
It's better than any drug could ever give you.
Well, I'm a pharmacist, so yeah, it's probably true.
Oh shoot.
Well, I was a pharmacist. I retired.
Yeah, Drake's gonna try and make friends with you. You want me to read this, Dan?
No, I think that stat there is unbelievable.
I don't know if any other team in the
It's
country.
been all over the internet.
Yeah, this goes back to
how many years back? 4 years? It's 31A to be 4 years, probably.
Yeah, probably about 4 years. Well, no, it would be 3 years. So in the last 31 games, the Hawkeyes are 23-8 overall, 18-8 in big play, 3-0 in non-con, and 2-0 in bowl games. In addition to that stat, the 8 losses were by 1, 2, 2, 3, 3, 4, 6, and 7 points. We've only, in the last 3 years, our biggest loss is a touchdown.
It's crazy. It's crazy stat.
And how many points are they giving Iowa State this week? 4
and a half.
Well, listen, Dan, I'm taking money line and I'm taking it to the bank. But if they're giving you 4 points, I mean, it sounds like the lock of the century. We already know that we're not giving up over 20. Phil doesn't do that.
Yeah.
He hasn't done it in 23 games now.
24.
Don't let this be the asshole on the mic curse, because I won't be able to handle that.
You just did it.
But,
that was on you.
Well, if they're ever going to get us, they're going to get us this year. You know, my buddy Brad Volstead from Manning is a great Hawk fan. He's all of his brothers, 6 brothers, have all graduated from Iowa. They're huge fans. And that 15-year run with Hayden, him and I, as you say, we sort of dreaded the game because we knew at some point the run was going to be over.
Yeah, it feels like that now a little bit.
Yeah, and that's what I mean. 5 in a row now. If they're going to get us, they're going to get us this year.
At least if Iowa stays where they're at. I mean, there's always the potential for a fluke year where it's like they just play the game of their life, and it's always close because it's a rivalry.
Right.
But if Iowa stays where they've been for the past, basically since 2015, we had 16 and 17 were okay years, but then 18, 19, 20 have been pretty darn good. If Iowa State falls back off into a, 40th in the country or 50th in the country, that kind of average football team, I just don't know if, the Hawks have got a grip on them, and this would be the year. Unless the Hawks start to fall off too. I mean, teams go through waves, and 2004, I don't think anybody thought that in 2004, I don't even think in 2009, people thought that 3 years later, the Hawks would be 4-8 in 2012. Right. So things happen, but if there was going to be a year, it's this year. They're at their stadium. They've got all the hype in the world. It's game day. Game day is going to be there. You going to go try and get on game day? They should have Pomeroy as the guest picker.
Listen, the baiting tailgate with the nerd trolley, that's what the Simons is called, the cyclone bus from Carroll.
Oh, dear.
But the nerd trolley is a lot more fun than game day.
Yeah, there's probably more beer at the tailgate than there would be.
I'll have a little bush latte there. Yeah,
that's good. That's really Iowan of you.
Yeah,
for the bush lattes.
Yeah. So no, I but that's wonderful. It's wonderful for the state of Iowa that game day is there, and it's a great thing.
What do you think about the potential conference realignment uncertainty and maybe the Iowa State game?
I doubt if it'll go away. Well,
yeah,
no.
It's definitely
that realignment business is past 2025.
Yeah,
we already have a contract. We're certainly not going to renege on that, and I just think that may make us. They'll probably take away a Big Ten game and let us play another Power 5 in a non-conference.
That's what it sounds like. Maybe eight Big Ten games.
Because nobody, especially our goofy neighbors over in Lincoln, they need those 8 home games. They got to have them for the finances.
Yeah.
So they're not going to take that away.
Yeah. So with Kevin earlier, we did his picks.
Mm-hmm.
Drake and I sort of speculated on a few, but we need your shirt.
Yeah.
To wrap this thing up. He's got the shirt.
Hawks by a million, baby.
It's right there.
Although I wish I'd have a flag, but you can't get a flag. You have a better chance at finding a gold nugget in the Raccoon River than get a Hawks by a million flag.
Well, we've got 250 more. And this is thank you, Dan, because you let me plug the flags now. For those that didn't get a flag, I've gotten, probably 15 or 20 messages. Hey, you got a flag? I want to buy 2. When are they going to be restocked? They're on the way. And the lead time was not horrible the first time around. So, but you're right. The Hawks by a Million t-shirt, plenty of people have those as well. And minus 4.5. I mean, that's easy. Hawks by a million right there.
That's right there.
Plus 4.5.
Drake, what you're missing.
Plus 4.5.
What you're missing being down there in the Southwest where it's 110 degrees every day. Nice weather choice, by the way. Is NIL money.
This is what he brought. Look at
Hoover's been making post hoc NIL money. I've been bringing him these $2 bills.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
And Dedham beef jerky. Really good shit.
Dude.
Oh, man.
He comes to my house, buys me dinner, gives me $2 bills with Andrew Jackson on it. Is that who that is? Or that's Thomas Jefferson.
Yeah.
Jackson's on I don't know who.
Yeah, that's a bigger bill. We're not going to go that way.
Yeah, sure. Probably deserve Benji's. But anyway, Dan, it's been a pleasure.
Yes.
We had this in the works for a couple months, and I'm glad that you were able to make it happen, and that it on your drive into Des Moines, it made it perfect.
Yeah, perfect for tomorrow.
So we appreciate you so much for coming on and enjoy the game on Saturday.
Let me say this, Tyler and Drake, and this goes to Kevin too. I don't think you can possibly appreciate how much Iowa fans appreciate what you guys have done for us. I mean,
really?
the memories and the experiences we have. I mean, to walk out of Kinnick after the shellacking of Ohio State, that's a moment highlight if you're a Hawkeye fan. And that all goes to how hard you guys work to provide that to us. And so to be able to give that to hundreds of thousands of other people, that joy, wow, was a special gift. Can't appreciate it enough.
Well,
those were fun memories though, man. We did have fun doing it.
Yeah.
Well, we had fun watching you do it.
Well, we had fun watching ourselves do it. I think we all were kind of fans that day. On the Ohio State one and a couple others. But as always, Dan, you're a legend. Thanks for joining the show.
You bet.
And we're going to go back into, for the listeners now, the end of the episode that we got to cut with Kevin. This is a thick episode now. So back into that after the break.
Are we going to get Dan's pick? Are you taking the points, Dan?
He already said Hawks by a million.
By a million, baby.
Are you going with the money line?
Huh?
Plus 4 million. Are they going to cover? Are they just going to straight up win the game? Obviously,
you're going to win the game.
There's nothing to it.
The money line, just like me, baby.
Yeah,
hammer.
That's right. You're a smart gambler.
Yeah, it's easy. That's why. I mean, that's what they say at least. That then they suck you in, and then somehow they always cover.
My buddy Bill Beck says I always bet parlays when we're out in Vegas in March, and he said, and I always say smart bettors bet parlays. Of course, I never hit any of them. So
I think smart. Yeah. I don't know. I haven't figured it out, and the walk-on sucked in the first week. So It is what it is. Dan Pomeroy, everybody. Now back to Kevin.